Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback.
Just like that.
Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45, so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room. There will be a live presentation at 5:45, followed by a live question and answer session. We look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the first community workshop for the Dover Air Force Base Compatible Use Study. You are currently viewing a slideshow with instructions on how to participate in today's workshop. We have provided this buffer to the live presentation between 5:30 and 5:45 so that all attendees will have time to log on and gather in this waiting room.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you all. On behalf of Delaware Department of Transportation, I would like to welcome you all to the first public workshop of DAFB Compatible Use Study. My name is Humaira Nabila, and I'm the Kent County Planner for DelDOT statewide and regional planning section and project manager for this study, which is supported by the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation. With us today, we also have our consultant teams from Century Engineering, Airport Design Consultants, and University of Delaware. As always, our mission at DelDOT is excellence in transportation, every trip, every mode, every dollar, and everyone. That is why public engagement is vital to our mission. DelDOT has been working with the Dover Air Force Base, City of Dover, Dover Kent County Metropolitan Planning Organization, and the other state and local agencies to prepare this community-driven, cooperative, and strategic planning study. This workshop is developed to share some preliminary findings and then give you the floor to share your valuable ideas and comments with us. Um, we have designed this workshop in three phases. This is the first phase. There will be a brief presentation about the study. After the presentation, there will be a Q&A session where you can ask us questions both here and via Zoom. The online questions will be taken by one of our team members separately. And finally, you will be able to circle around the room to go to one of the each stations we made for you. Our team members will assist you there to have a closer look at the study, and you can also share your thoughts. People who joined via Zoom will also be able to view the study materials from their computers and cell phones. Again, thank you for taking the time to participate in this workshop. And now I'll give the floor to my colleague from Century Engineering, Sonia Marichek.
Thank you, Nabila. So I want to take you through this evening at our public workshop, introduce the project, go over the project background, talk about the purpose and goals, as well as our project team. We'll go over the schedule, our data collection efforts, as well as next steps. And then at the end of our workshop, we will break out into breakout sessions so that you can look through our data collection effort in a more in-depth manner. A little background about our study. So this is through a program through the Department of Defense, who awarded DelDOT grant funding through the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation. This funding the study began last October, and it will examine the surrounding areas around the Dover Air Force Base. So we want to look at the existing land uses around the Dover Air Force Base, as well as future land uses and how they coordinate with each other. This study will build on the Air Installations Compatible Use Zones study. As you can see here in the picture, the blue circle is generally our study area. It is a 5-mile radius around the Dover Air Force Base. It includes the Dover Air Force Base and Kent County, including portions of Dover, Camden, Wyoming, Magnolia, Frederica, and Bowers. So the purpose of this study is to look at compatible uses for the land use surrounding the Dover Air Force Base. Military installations take a vital role in our nation's national defense. They support the military testing, training, and support operations. They are also vital to the economy, both statewide as well as nationwide. The Dover Air Force Base is crucial to Delaware's economy, as well as the nationwide economy and national defense. Pressures from incompatible civilian uses can create restrictions and problems for military installations. It could restrict the use of the installation, ranges, training capability, and ultimately create issues for the long-term viability of the military installation. It can also threaten public safety. So this study will look at the uses surrounding the Air Force Base and look for compatibility, as well as areas where it is not compatible, and look for strategies to mitigate that. It's important for state and local governments to share with the federal government the responsibility in supporting the nation's defense. By supporting this study, we've asked state and local governments to be a part of our key stakeholders in our project team so that this study brings everyone to the table to collaborate. A little bit about the specific study goals. We want to support the long-term sustainability and operability of the Dover Air Force Base. We want to make sure that it is viable and successful through the foreseeable future. By doing that, we will enhance the communication and improve the collaboration between all the stakeholders, bringing everybody together to the table to discuss what the compatible uses could be and what issues are out there. We want to make sure that we're protecting the health, safety, and welfare of both the public and the Dover Air Force Base personnel. We want to make sure that the future land uses are taking into account that safety. We want to sustain the economic vitality also of the surrounding communities. The surrounding communities are very important to the economic success of the state of Delaware, and so we want to make sure that they are also part of this study. We want to identify potential issues with compatibility and implementation strategies. And all along our study, we will engage and inform the public. All of our meetings are open to the public. We have created a web page so that you can follow along as the study progresses, and I'll show you that in a few slides. We want to hear from you. It's very important to us that we hear your feedback and have a chance to answer your questions. So a little bit about our project team. It is comprised of members from the Department of Defense, the Dover Air Force Base, DelDOT, the University of Delaware, Century Engineering, and Airport Design Consultants. Together, we form the Project Management Committee that works with the key stakeholders who have been identified: the City of Dover, Kent County, DENREC, Office of State Planning, Homeland Security, and the Dover-Kent County MPO. When we began this study, we discussed having working groups so that we had key stakeholders all throughout the study advising the project management committee. We developed 2 committees. The first is the policy committee. You can see the members shown here as well as the agencies. They're represented by leaders of these agencies who have regulatory authority. They participate in the process by guiding the project management team. They will provide input on conflict resolution strategies, support the final implementation of those strategies, and ultimately will adopt our plan and implement it into the future. We also have a technical committee. They will serve as advisors throughout the study. From data gathering to the public outreach, the technical committee will be involved throughout the study. They will help identify conflicts, policies, programs, and strategies to help remedy those conflicts. Ultimately, when the draft plan is prepared, they will review that plan, provide feedback, and then ultimately that final plan will go to the policy committee for adoption and implementation. A little bit about the study timeline. So as I said, we started last October, and we've been doing data gathering efforts since then. We had a base installation tour in April, so we were able to board a bus and ride around the entire perimeter of the Dover Air Force Base. This was a very interesting trip. We were able to see the size and magnitude of the base, but also see from that perspective how the adjacent land uses could affect the Air Force Base. We are here at the public workshop. This is our first public workshop. We want to introduce the project to you and also go over our data gathering efforts. It's important to us to hear from you throughout the process. And so this is our first formal meeting with you with this public workshop. Kind of our very next steps, we'll be doing stakeholder interviews and conflict identification. I'll get into that in a few slides. And then back out into the fall, we'll come back to you with a full day charrette in September. That will be to discuss the adjacent borrow pits and their future land use. And then we'll come with a second public workshop in November. And that workshop will present all of the information that we have developed and prepared, including the issues, challenges, and resolutions and mitigating strategies for those. We'll wrap up this study at the end of December, and then it will move into a phase to begin implementation. So as I said, the beginning part of this study has been data collection. We've collected a tremendous amount of data, and I want to thank all the technical and policy committee members who have helped us gather this data. They were instrumental in us receiving that information and being able to catalog it. So we put it all together into a GIS web-based map. And so it's a very interactive map where you can move around and zoom in and out and look at all the different data sets. And as the second phase to our workshop tonight, we will take you through all of that data. Right now, I'm going to give you kind of a 10,000-foot view. I'm just going to glaze over what the data sets are and a little bit about each one. So I divided up all the data into main categories or main components just to help with it not being so cumbersome to present in this format. But you will see all of the data if you stay around for our second part of the workshop. So we have land use and zoning. It's very important for us to know what's the existing zoning, the existing land use that's currently out there, as well as all the approved future zoning, the potential incoming development. So, what growth and development is planned, what plans are in for review, what projects does DelDOT have in their long-term plan that are coming out, as well as MPO and DelDOT planning studies. So most studies have a series of recommendations, whether they're short, mid, and long-term recommendations, and those generally, once they get funding, move forward and become projects. So we want to look at how those projects could affect the Air Force Base. And then we're also going to show you population forecasts and trends. Where are the future growth anticipated areas for municipalities and things like that. We have information on all the transportation corridors. So we looked at shipping, busing, rail, pipelines, bicycle networks, as well as information on the base operation itself. Where are their security zones, their safe zones, their accident zones, and then the environmental and natural resources. Where is their flooding? Where are their wetlands? Where are their areas that are sensitive? And then we're going to take a look at the regulatory requirements. So there are some policies already in place that have some regulations and some stipulations for land use around the base. There's the SR1 corridor capacity program. There's ag preservation. There's some easements, some ordinances. So as part of this study, we're going to review all of those and see if any need to be revised, replaced, or added to. So with DelDOT, we created a web page that has information for the public to be able to follow this project as it develops. And so I'm going to take you to that web page. And so all of the information that we have populated as we go along this study will be shown on this webpage. So any meetings will be advertised on here. You'll be able to see the agendas. You'll get a meeting link. There's the overview, the purpose, the study area. You can read more about all of these pieces. The project timeline is also on there, and all of our meeting recordings. You can go to for example, you can click on meetings and past meetings, and you can see all of our past meetings with our meeting minutes and our meeting recordings. And if you hit this Get Involved button, you will be able to go through a process and share your thoughts with us. So it's very important that we gather and collect all the feedback that we can for this study. The other piece of information I want to show you is the web map that we will be taking you to after this presentation. So you can see here, whoops, as you can see here, this is our study area. And as you can see here on the left, these are our layer lists. So we will be able to take you through all of these in an in-depth explanation after this presentation. But just to give you kind of a brief overview of what that would look like, if I turn off the study area and I turn on the Dover Air Force Base, you can see these colors that show up, and there is a legend at the bottom that will tell you what all of these colors mean. But these colors along here, they're the Air Force Base's accident potential zones. And so if we compare that with our land use data, something that we would be looking at as part of this study is, well, how do the existing and future land uses work within those accident potential zones? So that is an example of how we would use this data through this study. And we will take you through every layer that we have after this presentation. So I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint. And we'll go back to our next step. So very soon upcoming, we're going to start our stakeholder interviews. That will happen late spring. And then this summer, we will use that data to start working on our conflict identification. We'll do the charrette for the Barrow Pit in September. And before that, in August, we'll start working on mitigation strategies. Then we will bring all this information back out to you in November and finalize the report for the end of the year. So the stakeholder interviews, we've identified as part of this study key stakeholders. For example, elected officials, state and local government, agencies, military personnel. We will be interviewing them to identify what are their conflicts, what are their concerns, what are the challenges, what are things that are already working, and start formulating a list of all the conflicts that then, as we go through the summer, we will start working on strategies to mitigate those, because there are the uses that are compatible with the Air Force Base, but then there are the outside of the Air Force Base growth and development opportunities with their needs. And so we want to blend those together. We will present all of our data to the technical and policy committees as well as the public, and we will publish all of our information on our website as well. So with that, I will take any questions that our attendees have. So at the bottom of your screen, you should see a Q&A box or a Q&A button. You can click that and ask questions. And you may not have any right away. You may have some questions that you come up with after you've seen the data explained on the maps. But I will wait another minute or so just to make sure that there's no questions on the overall study. So the format for our next session, bear with us, we will need a minute or two to get it set up, but we will have, for those of you on Zoom, you do not need to touch anything. You do not need to click anything. It will be automatic. We will have a moderator come on to our Zoom meeting, and the moderator will walk you through all of the data in the maps and answer the questions that you have, and also take in any feedback. And at the end of that, you will be able to exit Zoom and provide your feedback and your questions. Those of you who are live, you can circle through the room and be taken through all of the maps on the TV screens that we have here. So for those of you on Zoom, hold tight another minute or two. We will get the moderator on for you, and you will be able to go through all of the maps. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, welcome to the interactive session. And so I just want to thank everybody for attending. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to share the interactive map and kind of walk you through it. I'm actually going to, in order to create a more interesting dialogue, I'm going to promote you all to panelists. So you'll all get a notification on your screen. So if you could just click yes to come into the panelist area, and that way we can all kind of talk to each other since we only have a handful of folks here on the Zoom call. So I will promote everybody, and if you want to come on in. And we have one person on the using the cellular. So I will just allow you to talk. Okay. So I think you have to hit your unmute to be able to for us to hear you. So I'm going to go ahead and share. Let's see, my screen to allow for us to walk through the data. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yep, loud and clear, Drew.
Yes.
Uh-oh, that's not good. I hear our intro video. You probably got sick of that music while you were listening to it on the way in. So this is, so a lot of you have seen the map, but if you have not, This is the data set that we've been collecting over the last couple of months. It provides a lot of data in and around the Dover Air Force Base. And so we have information that was provided to us by the Air Force. Sonia mentioned the accident potential zones. We also have in this layer noise contours. So this is the at least the regulated noise contours for the flight paths in and around the base. And you can see that they extend pretty far through Magnolia all the way down to Frederica. And so associated with those noise contours are the actual flight paths that the Air Force uses. And so in our conversations with Air Force Base personnel, one of the things that we learned is that the majority of the operations, the takeoffs and the landings that happen at Dover Air Force Base happen on this north-south runway. About 85% of the operations. The others use the runway that parallels Route 1, and you can see that that the flight patterns actually, as you take off, you can often, if you're local to the area, you often see the planes banking away from the city of Dover, and so those flight paths were established in cooperation with the city of Dover, and you can see the associated accident potential zones with those takeoff and landings that happen in and around the base. We have one of the things that the Air Base gave us were these properties of concern. So these are properties that the Air Base has already identified as properties that we really want to take a hard look at through the study. And so these properties are shown in purple here, and they basically adjacent to the Air Force Base physical property. And so you can see why they would be concerned about those particular properties. So as part of the study, we'll be taking a closer look at those. And there's the actual installation. You can see the runways identified in the base mapping, and the base housing here to the west of Route 1, and the installation and operating facilities east of Route 1. So this data really helps us, is really going to help us to be able to overlay that with other activity that's happening in the area. When we think about compatible land uses, we think about what might be happening with development in the area. So when we're diving into this data set, so this is right now what I have on here are developments that are in through plus. And so you can see that there is some activity in and around the base that is actually within, if we turn on that accident potential zone, actually within the accident potential zone. So it's not that nothing can go in there, because we still want to create that balance between growth and maintaining the sustainability of the Air Force Base, but also continue to grow in other areas of the county. And so these particular areas here along Lafferty Lane, if you've driven down Lafferty Lane, you know that there are kind of a warehouse, industrial type development. So those types of uses are compatible. We're looking for low density, very few people in the facilities, so the risk is low to those folks that might be living and working there should an incident occur. So that is the goal. And so we're going to continue to look at land use and how and the land use activity that's happening in the area, and make some recommendations probably in the ultimate report. Once we get through the full assessment and then some level of evaluation for mitigation. We've got population data. So this is coming from the Delaware Population Consortium, which is provides us, let me see, data about data in and around where we can expect growth in the area. So if we look at an area, say that's pretty much environmentally constrained, we can see that we're not anticipating much growth. But if we look at an area that is more dense within the city of Dover, we can see that the population is much greater. And so so this helps us to look at these 10 and 20-year projections, and even further out to 2050, to be able to look at employment forecasts, population forecasts, and have an understanding of at least what the population consortium is anticipating for growth in these areas. That's a pretty robust data set. One thing that you'll notice, sorry. All right, any questions so far from anybody that's on? Rather almost just be a dialogue. Everybody's muted.
Hey, Drew.
Hello.
So I'll just say, as somebody who grew up in Dover and was actually on base with a lot of my friends who lived off base, Cesar Rodney kind of was the district that they fed into. All of this is so like new and interesting to me. So I'm anxious to see where this goes and like hear more public input and comments for kind of what the public sees and what now the residents who live in Dover now, how they feel kind of about possible expansion efforts and things that might go on as far as, you know, developing around the base. So I'm kind of excited.
Thanks. Appreciate that comment. You know, one of the things that that I will give a shout out to both Kent County and the city of Dover as being the two land use agencies that are closest to the base, right? So we also have Camden and Wyoming, Magnolia, Frederica, and Bowers on our technical team, and they play a critical role. But the two land use agencies that abut the Dover Air Force Base have really done a great job in getting ordinances in place based on the original ACU study that was done, and it really helped set us up in a pretty good position. When we think about property that is already protected within the in and around the base, this gives you an idea about those parcels. So in the light blue and tan, I would bring up the legend, but it'll just clutter the screen, so I'll describe them to you. So these light blue areas and tan areas are properties that are in the Ag Land Preservation Program. And so that is it's actually a state initiative that basically pays farmers to keep their, to not develop, essentially, to keep farming. So we want to preserve the agricultural nature of some of these areas, especially east of Route 1. And all of these property owners have, through their own initiative, worked through the Department of Agriculture to sign up for the program and then preserve their property for farming. And so a lot of the interests are basically properties in and around the base are already encumbered with ag land preservation easements on them. The green areas are conservation areas that the Fish and Wildlife of DENREC have acquired over the years. And you can see a significant portion of the seaboard is already either preserved through the Little Creek Wildlife Refuge or up here at Bombay Hook. So all of these are encumbered properties, and again,
Jen Hirsch from OLDC, is that what it is? I forget. Josh Thomas, Kim Chandler, and Marilyn Smith.
hey, Jen,
And then Jordan, of course, is
good.
called in. So.
So in the teal color here, these are properties that the Delaware Department of Transportation has purchased the development rights on. So you can see that these are critical to the operations of the airport when we think about the APZ and when we think about other properties of interest. So currently, this lighter purple, the Dover Air Force Base already has an easement on that property. And then DelDOT has the easements on these properties that are keeping them from developing. But we want to make sure that we have all things covered. And I'll share a story with you because there was a developer that wanted to come in. It was a solar developer, and so he was working with the property owner, and they were pursuing developing several of these fields with solar panels that may or may not have been compatible with the operations of the Dover Air Force Base. They have since withdrawn their pursuit, I guess, of that land use activity. They had an application into Plus and just recently withdrew it, and so which is a good thing because that gives us time to look at these parcels. Look at the existing easements and make sure that it covers everything that we need it to cover. So you know, history is a great way to learn, and you think that you've got the most perfect ordinance written until somebody comes and wants to propose something that's completely within the ordinance, but that you really don't want. So those are some of the things that we're trying to work on as we work with our partners through this study. So those are the protected interests. When we think about the transportation map, we've got, let me turn off the center line here because most of the roads are already on. What you see here are let me turn the center line back on. So these are the DelDOT maintained roadways and the city streets. So these are roads that are maintained by DelDOT, by the city, and some private pieces of roadway. So that's what's in and around the area in red. And the bus routes, we have a couple bus routes that run up and down Route 1. We do serve the base. We do serve Route 10, and so that's critical that we maintain those bus routes in order to create some an opportunity for the airmen to be able to get into the community and without having to have a car. Another thing that's highlighted here is when we think about transportation, it's not only cars and bikes and walkers, but also fluids and electricity. We can think about all those things as transmission, transportation. And so what we've shown here in this green line is the fuel supply line that comes off of the Port Mahon Road. There's some storage tanks up here. And so why this is important is the fuel depot is actually here. So a tanker comes with jet fuel. It gets pumped to these holding tanks, and then from the holding tanks, it goes to the airbase. And so one of the things that's happening is we're having a lot of through climate change, a lot more surge on the banks of Port Mahon Road. And oftentimes the road is inundated with water. And so that jeopardizes or puts at risk this whole operation. And so it's a key piece of what we're going to be looking at through the study to see how we can fortify and make sure that the airbase is supplied with a sustainable fuel source. If all of this fuel were to be delivered to the base via a tractor trailer, we would yeah, the trucks on the road would increase significantly. And so I don't have a number to put on it, but being able to utilize the tanker and the nautical waterway to be able to deliver fuel is the most efficient way to do that, and we want to be able to maintain that. So that's the transportation piece. We're also going to be looking at a few of the concerns that the Air Base shared with us was the commercial entrance is here. And so they have to X-ray and examine every commercial vehicle that comes into the base. And so that happens here. It's in really close proximity to Route 1. And so from a logistics perspective, when there is a perceived risk of explosive or anything like that may be entering the base, the base coordinates with DelDOT, and actually Route 1 has to be closed until that risk is mitigated or and somehow resolved. And so there are some ideas that we're going to be working with the Air Force Base to relocate that off of Route 9 to be able to pull that away from Route 1 so that we don't have, so not only, because what that does is if we close down Route 1, then that also restricts the amount of access to the base. And so if that were isolated, then Route 1 will be able to maintain, airmen can get in, goods and services can continue to move while the situation is being dealt with. Let's go on to land use and zoning. So when we think about the zoning in and around, most of the property in and around the airbase is within the jurisdiction of Kent County, and some is within the jurisdiction of the city of Dover. And then obviously we've got the towns of Camden, Wyoming, and then Magnolia here to the south of the base, Frederica, and then Bowers. So all of those are important. Right now, a lot of the future zoning, let me see. We've got existing zoning on, but I wanted to turn on future zoning, just the future map, just so that we can get an idea. So one of the things, the city of Dover has some annexation plans, and so you can see that those areas of annexation are within, the APZ, are within the APZ, and and we're looking for, we want to make sure that that we continue to grow. We've got to keep that at the forefront of our mind, trying to find that balance between preserving the sustainability of the Dover Air Force Base while continuing to grow. One opportunity that we might look at as part of the charrette is this piece here, kind of in the V of the APZ. If you look here, there's an area of possible growth that the city is looking at, as well as the county, that would actually be tied to the Air Force Base. So we're thinking about they're thinking about uses that are compatible with the land use that would be able to leverage the flying facilities of the Dover Air Force Base and the Civil Air Terminal, which is an interface between civilian operations being able to utilize the military runways, and then once they land, they exit the military right-of-way and enter into private civilian areas, which then can be used to support services that would support the Dover Air Force Base mission, or you can think about aircraft repair. You can think about innovation parks and things that would that could basically leverage Department of Defense contracts for development of of things that would be a nexus to the Dover Air Force Base. So all kinds of opportunities there. And so we want to make sure that we take a really close look at those future annexation areas and really set ourselves up for success, both for growth from the county and city perspective, and also sustainability from the Dover Air Force perspective. Any questions on land use? I'll just show you real quickly what's, go ahead, I heard something. Okay. So from an environmental perspective, we've got a lot of information that was supplied to us through DENREC and all of the different divisions within DENREC. So we've got sea level rise is a concern with coastal inundation and what it might do to the should be coming on, but I'm not too sure whether I'm not info. Okay, there they go. It just took a little while to load. So this shows the potential for coastal inundation. It's a 7, or it's a massive layer, so so it's not as responsive. Maybe more responsive on your home computer, but you can see this shows the full inundation all the way up to the 7 foot. We also have areas for let's see, wellhead protection areas, so and water recharge areas. Let's see where the water recharge areas are. Yeah, we have groundwater recharge areas. So we've got a few of these that are around the base. Let's turn them on so you can see them. So these are the I think that these are the potential areas, and then the actual recharge areas are the ones in purple. So you know, obviously something that's important to be able to maintain that vital resource. Wetlands also occupies quite a bit of surrounding area, especially when we think about the ponds, the borrow pits here at the end of the runway that we're going to have the charrette on in September. You know, what is this land use going to grow up to be once the current use has served its purpose? There's estimations about 5 to 8 years of continued mining of the sand and soils out of the borrow pits, and then they're going to pack up shop and potentially walk away. And so then, what happens to those properties that are in a key location, you know, right at the end of the runway here, and then how can we as a team and as a community work together to ensure that this land use remains compatible and supportive of the operations of the Air Force Base. So, so that's about all I had for the information that I wanted to share. We were trying to set up an exit poll, but that didn't happen. Sonia said that when you exit the interview, you'll be able to do a exit interview. So I'm going to launch. We actually set them up as polls. So I'm going to quickly go through a series of polls here. And if you could just give us your response, and that way we've got data from the folks that were inside the here at DelDOT, inside in person at the meeting, and folks that were on the Zoom meeting. So let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. I think that there's a series of just 6 questions. So if you can walk through them, please, and just toggle your answer. So the first one is, you know, based on the information provided, do you have a better understanding of the goals and objectives of the study? Is there information that was not presented that should have been? And then Number 3 was to try to get your idea on what you think is the greatest threat to the sustainability of the Dover Air Force Base. So that's sea level rise, development pressures, access to the base, climate change, all of those types of. And then the last 3 questions are just about the experience that you had. I know we had a few technical difficulties, but I think trying to accommodate both folks that were here at DelDOT and folks that were on the Zoom at the same time was quite a challenge.
Hey, Drew, it's Josh. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, Josh, yeah.
Can you see me?
I cannot see, but that doesn't mean that.
All right, well, I'm gonna,
I can see him. He's driving apparently
Okay.
with headset on.
no, I'm not, no,
Him and
No,
Trey
I'm not-
Pardee need to talk to each other.
I am not driving.
Oh, good. Okay.
Hey, it is the 21st century. I'm you know, doing double duty here. My son is at soccer practice, so but I don't have to not participate anymore. I can still participate. So anyway, for those that are listening, I'm Josh Thomas. I'm the circuit rider planner for the Kent County area with the Office of State Planning Coordination. And Drew and the rest of the team, I just want to say you guys have done a fantastic job, like presenting all of this complicated information in a short amount of time. And just as an overall comment, I just want to say, you know, I don't want you to think that silence or the lack of questions is due to disinterest, because there really is a lot going on and it's really fascinating. I think many of us, as I know myself included, am sort of getting an education about all the particulars of the base and really learning a lot. And I think that this particular topic and the fact that there's not a lot of controversy and a lot of questions about it really just kind of demonstrates how well the base is integrated into the community. I mean, when you think of Dover, you think of the Dover Air Force Base a lot. So I certainly don't want the consultant team or any of the stakeholders to think that there's nothing to talk about. It's more so just like, well, yeah, of course, it's Dover Air Force Base, part of the community. But I think it's going to get really interesting when we talk about kind of future considerations and future recommendations. And that's really what I think is going to be really interesting to folks, is like, well, what do we do in the future to kind of ensure and make the
I think we
thought about tour.
Oh, there we go.
And when we went on the tour, you know, it really made us think, like, what you know, how are we going to have uses for the Burrow Pit area when it's kind of isolated from the base with Route 1. So just a lot to think about there. And I want to thank you guys for putting the time in.
Yeah, appreciate that, Josh. And we are excited about the diving in. You know, this is really just scratching the surface. This is basically establishing the foundation for the next steps of the study. And so we really felt that we needed to spend the time and effort to really dive in and to have a good understanding of everything that's in and around the area that could impact these kind of, well, number one, the identification of issues, and number two, you know, as we get to the next phase of conflict resolution. So it's really building on builds on each other is the way that it works. And so this effort was necessary. I know it's a little bit technical and we're all in the weeds looking at all this data, but it'll really help us with the next steps of the study. Any other questions or comments from folks that are online?
Just want to say that the presentation is very informative, and tying it together with the tour that we took a few weeks ago, putting this all together, it really makes more sense and I can see the practicability of it all and what we're trying to do. So I appreciate your efforts.
Hey, Dawn, I see you got your camera on.
Yeah, good evening, Drew. Can you hear me? So again, thank you for all the work and efforts, and thank you for the shout out to both the city of Dover and Kent County for the efforts that we've already taken with our ordinances in regards to this area. Certainly the solar question is a key one that I hope this group delves into. Because it's, you know, those next steps with technology and how do we appropriately plan for and accommodate those types of facilities in our community. The one thing I think you want to reiterate is how the public can get to this wonderful series of maps that you could spend hours playing with. Our City of Dover planning staff will certainly take a look at what you've put up from our information. And if you have any questions about what you're seeing from our zoning map, our future land use, our annexation areas, certainly reach out to us as you delve into those data sets to understand what they really mean. So thank you. And I wish I could have been there in person, but other situations arose, so happy to join you virtually this evening.
I'll go ahead and post a link in the chat. Everybody is a panelist, so I just posted that link to the web map, and so feel free to dive into it. It will, Dawn, it will be posted. The link will be posted on the website. So we were doing a few last minute tweaks. We wanted to make sure that it was well polished before we send it out to the public. And I still need to add a small splash screen with instructions on like how to get the legend and how to control more of the layers, because it is very technical and can sometimes be a little bit tricky to navigate. But feel free to share the link, and we'll augment the web, because it's a web map. We can make changes kind of on the fly, and your link is still the same. It doesn't change, and you always have access to the data. So we had a question from the caller. I'm not hearing the caller. Jen, I got a lot of things going on. Can you help me? I think with the caller may have dropped off.
It looks like they dropped off, Drew.
Okay, that's what I saw. Okay. Well, hopefully they'll be able to, access the website and so the website. Hopefully everybody's been there. It's if you don't have it saved as a URL, you can easily type in Del Dot and DAFB for Dover Air Force Base, and it'll be the first link that you come to with a simple Google search. I'll just say a few closing remarks. If there's no more questions or comments, I really appreciate your participation tonight. It's valuable, and again, most of you are partners with us, so I just want to extend some additional gratitude for the efforts that everybody put in to be able to get the study to the point where it is. And I'm looking forward to working with you as we dive deeper into issue identification, conflict resolution, and work on the charrette to identify where we might be in the future with that borrow pit at the end of the runway there. So with that, I don't want to hold you on the Zoom. If there's no more questions or comments, feel free to exit. We're probably going to hang on, keep the Zoom meeting open just in case we have some latecomers to the meeting, since we were advertised until 7:30. So so I just appreciate everybody's attendance, and thank you so much for jumping on. In Josh's case, multitasking with a soccer game.
And actually, I'm going to hop off, Drew, if you're okay. It looks like you've got Todd and Nabila on here with you, and Jen from U of D. Okay, great. Have a great night. Thank you so much. You guys did a great job.
Hey, Drew, it's Marilyn. Thank you. Sorry, I was
Marilyn.
MIA there for a minute. Someone stopped in my office and it's like, why are you in the building so late? So apologize for that.
We appreciate your participation, Marilyn, and especially the MPO's public outreach and helping us try to get the message out about the workshop. And we're going to look to partner with you again, as we move into the charrette and to try to get some more public interest with in the overall study itself. So.
Well, most definitely. I mean, Helen, she is the guru of all things social media. So anything that we can do, please call on us anytime. We're happy to help.
You guys got a great following, so that really helps.
Yeah, we do. We do have a pretty good following, and a lot of those people, even though we have lots of social media, it's not the same person, it's not. So we do get a pretty good cross section of people who have a preference for different social media platforms. So yeah, that's helpful. So just keep us posted. We'll help out any way we can.
All right. Signing off, Drew. Appreciate everything you guys have done. Very informative.
Thanks for participating.
Take care.
Have a good night.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer, it's just the design team now. So I'm hopeful that from your perspective, the DoD perspective, that things went okay tonight for our first.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop off as well.
Okay. Appreciate you guys hanging with us and keeping us on task.
Sure, no problem.
Okay,
Talk to you on Friday. All right, you too. Bye.
All right, Todd, it's just you and me, man.
Yeah, so you're gonna stay until 7:30?
I don't know. I said that. But I might not. I'll have to take that out of the recording.
Yeah, how about yeah. How about 7? I mean, that's another 12 minutes.
Yeah, that seems. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get anybody popping on. I'm gonna come in the room.
All right.